Hello and welcome to the Warp Shelf. I'm Frank Duran.
I'm Deshaun Vasquez.
And today we're talking about Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire. We know we've been away for a little bit. We've been sick and busy and, Oscars and all that jazz, but we're back and we're talking about Godzilla like we normally want to. I'm excited to talk about this film because, simply put, I had a good time. I saw this in theaters, and I had such a good time in the theaters. I saw it with Mary and my brother, and, saw it at Chunky's nearby. Chunky's is a good experience every time. It's food, it's movies, and they closed down 2 locations recently, so that's why I'm plugging them, because come on, stay alive, Manchester location, I need you. But I had a good time with this movie. Am I saying it's a perfect movie? No, absolutely not. Am I saying it's gonna blow non-Godzilla fans away? No, not even that.
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
From the jump, this has been very unfavorably compared to -1, which isn't fair at all.
No, it's not fair. And I feel like, yes, of course that was going to happen. That was the last Godzilla movie, so they're going to compare it. It's the Japanese Godzilla movie, so everyone's like, oh yes, Japanese movies are obviously better. And you're like, yeah, but you didn't grow up in a world where there was no American Godzilla except for 1998. That's it. And we would get Japanese Godzillas in Godzilla 2000 and a couple others coming to theaters, but we just literally didn't have it. So as a Godzilla fan who grew up with no American Godzilla, I just love that there's 2 Godzilla things going on at the same time right now. We have Godzilla -1, we have an American Godzilla, and technically there's a Godzilla show going on right now because Monarch's been renewed for season 2. So
yeah,
you're like, okay, so there's a TV show that's not an animated show, which Netflix has a Kong animated show, but that got canceled quite quick. They were like, Skull Island, smash that, like they do most things. They're like, if it's not literally everyone talking about it around the bubbler at work, we don't want it. And that's kind of how Netflix's model goes. But I feel like we are rich with Godzilla here, and with we got a very serious Godzilla -1, like a very serious take, a cinematic, beautiful take, still my favorite movie of 2023. And then we get some literal Showa era, even before that, Godzilla, fun. This is just a fun movie. I'm not.
It is very Showa era shenanigans, yeah. Which is fine for every one dour, sad, nuclear metaphor, woe is me Godzilla movie. For every one of those, there's about 5 lizard big punch laser pew pew.
And to be fair to the comparison to the older Godzilla movies, the fun of just Godzilla versus something else, that's what this is, because they're introducing new monsters. There's 2 new monsters in this, and technically 3 if you count Son of Kong, but he's not really new. But Shimu,
and not his son.
Yeah, and not technically his son, which I was like, that's kind of a throw, guys. But Shimu and what's his name?
Scar King.
They are brand new monsters, which, come on, guys. This is the first time we've gotten new monsters
since King of the Monsters?
Yeah.
And even in King of the Monsters, we didn't really use any of them. We focused primarily on the Toho ones.
Yeah, we just got, this is literally introducing a new monster, and it's the main villain for the first time and even in Japanese Godzillas, a very long time. This is something new. And for me, this harkens back to my childhood, where they're just oh, there's a new monster for Godzilla to fight. He's going to kick its ass, but that doesn't change the fact that it's going to be badass the whole time until that happens. And to be fair to the comparison of the old Godzillas, a lot of the old Godzillas are the human plots. They take forever and they feel not fun. And like, you know, there's a lot of like, I'm a Godzilla fan, but there's a lot of human plots that you're just like, okay, I'm gonna fast forward till my boy shows up. You know, where's my lizard? And this at least is a fun human plot that like tries to keep it moving, introduce some sci-fi elements.
It's mostly because it's kind of been cut to ribbons. Like, this movie was fucking trimmed down to its barest essentials. This shit just fucking jumps around. You're like, sure, why not?
Sure. True. I feel like there is a lot of edited downness to this. I'm sure maybe there'll be a director's cut that's a lot longer, but
I doubt it.
Doubt it.
And it's fine. But what bothers me is this, like, and it's been a thing since 2014. This like double standard of, well, humans, bleh, we just need just monsters. As if the MonsterVerse is going to be the thing to, like, make a kaiju movie with only monsters and no humans, when even the Toho movies don't do that.
Right? You're like, it's like -1 is a shining example of a great human plot. You know, like, it's a shining example in the Godzilla over 30 years of is it 50 years? No. It's a lot. It's a lot longer. A lot longer than that. Yeah. Sorry, I'm messing it up. But like,
well, I think it's that like millennial thing of like 30 years ago.
30 years ago. Wait a minute. Yeah, I know. So that happened to me yesterday. They were like, "Oh yes, it's the 29 years since the Rugrats Passover episode," and I was like, "I don't need to be reminded that I'm older than 29. You know, like, I don't need to be reminded I'm over 30. Fuck you."
Yeah,
like,
I saw another one of those that was just like, "What do you think Zelda was 20 years ago?" And it's linked to the past. What Zelda actually was 20 years ago. Wind Waker. You're like,
exactly. You're fuck now. But I think a lot of people are forgetting, even in these American Godzilla movies, that they've missed constantly with keeping the human plot moving. Even the original 2014 Godzilla.
Yeah. Well, the problem with 2014 was that, like, we were invested in Bryan Cranston's character, and then we killed him off less than halfway through, and then we were stuck with his much less interesting son.
Yeah, somebody pointed out the other day that he doesn't even get to prove that Godzilla's real before he dies. Like,
yeah,
he just gets killed by him, and you're like, "Fuck, that sucks."
Well, he gets killed by a Muto. Yeah.
Muto.
And then King of the Monsters. I love King of the Monsters. It is still one of my favorites, both if we're talking about MonsterVerse or in the wider franchise in general.
Franchise example.
And I don't mind the human stuff in that. It airs a little on the melodramatic, but I don't mind it there. Skull Island, I feel like we're taking these really talented actors and kind of, outside of John Goodman and Sam Jackson, kind of making them just pretty mannequins.
Yeah, they're there to die.
Like Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston have like nothing to do here.
Yeah,
like all the best characters in Skull Island are kind of like the side characters, like the funny soldiers and stuff who eventually get offed.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And if we're talking Godzilla versus Kong, the human plot is very minimal in that movie, and I was very forgiving of that because it very just much bridges the gaps, you know, like, even though Millie Bobby Brown is absolutely superfluous in that movie, you know, like, she's a big plot of King of the Monsters, but like in Godzilla versus Kong, it's kind of like, all right, why is she here? Star power? All right. You know, like
that, and the carryover from King of the Monsters, since it felt more like a crossover. Like, Godzilla vs. Kong was already kind of Kong biased. It didn't bother me then because Skull Island never got its sequel. So I'm like, all right, so this crossover is effectively acting as its sequel at the same time. That's fine.
I would say
by the time we get here, this is Kong, the New Empire, featuring Godzilla.
I will say that. I'm talking a lot about Godzilla here because he's my boy. But, like, that is my one main, like, takeaway from this movie that I will, like, it tick down the score for me, is that this is very Kong heavy. Yes, does it work for this movie? Yeah, I think it does. But where's my boy? My boy basically comes out, fucks up two monsters. Like, he comes out, fucks up a spider in the opening title sequence, which, hell yeah. Fuck yeah, I love that. Like, him destroying Rome, that was great. And then he goes and beats up what's Tyretitus or something like that.
Yeah, some kind of like
T
Titan, some like underwater Titan.
Yeah, and he fucks that up and then basically goes to sleep to recharge, which they said before this movie came out that Godzilla's transformation in this is based off of Goku, and they basically Goku my boy here, where they're like, well, okay, well, we gotta keep him out of the fight. He's too overpowered.
We gotta put him on ice for a second, then we'll bring him in when we really need him.
They're like, not till the end of the fights, you know, like, do we bring him in? And you're just like, I get it, but god damn it, I love watching Godzilla. Like, that's the thing, is he's so fun to watch in this that, like, you're kind of like, more, please, you know, like, you're just like him just curled up like a cat in the Roman Coliseum.
Oh,
awesome.
So funny.
So funny.
So funny.
So good.
Just absolute big cat behavior.
And him, like, yelling at a helicopter instead of destroying it, what made me cackle out loud when he did that. And just, like, even, like, him floating, to, like, during the zero gravity sequence made me, like, cackle with laughter, because you're just like, that's incredible. Like, Godzilla just being like, it's okay, I'm an underwater creature, you know? Like,
it's so funny having, like, this sort of, like, reverence and mysticism towards Godzilla in 2014 in King of the Monsters. Like, they shoot him and they treat him like he's like this wise old creature.
Yeah.
And you get to these two crossovers and he's just so fucking aggro.
He's like,
that's like his defining character trait. He's just like an angry fucking cat.
Because, I mean, yeah, that is basically his plot here. When Kong is like, okay, I'll go get his help. I'll come upstairs and I'll go get Godzilla. And basically Godzilla is like, from another continent, is like, fuck you, I heard you, here I come. And he shows up and he immediately just runs at him, and Kong's like, wait, no, please, I got something to explain, you know, like. And then the minute and spoilers, guys, because we've already gone through so much of this, and this was spoiled for me, and I was very upset with the Godzilla groups I was in, that Mothra is in this movie. Like, I think they did a great job of not showing her at all in the promotional materials.
That thankfully got to be a surprise for me. I'm like, oh shit, hey.
Hey, shit, it's my girl.
As someone who, like, loves to make fun of how useless Mothra is, I actually really like the legendary, like, MonsterVerse version of Mothra. So I'm like, oh, sweet, dope. She was really cool in King of the Monsters. I'm glad she's back.
And of course she is just like the voice of reason to Godzilla, which I think is hilarious. Like, he's about to beat the shit out of Kong, and like, some people will be like, oh, Kong won that fight, he was beating him up, and you're like, Godzilla was gonna kill him. Godzilla was going to burn his face off, like, no question. And then Mothra steps in and he's like, oh, okay, honey, whatever you want. You know, like, he's like, yes, mother, let's do what you want here. And basically, like, stops fighting him and just listens to Mothra and gets to the fight.
Like, caveman unga bunga boyfriend versus, like, petite little petite wife.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, like, that was ruined for me in the Godzilla groups, and I was so upset about that. I didn't know if it was real. I thought it might have been a joke because they meme often, but it was like it was like the way she looks in this movie, and I was like, oh, fucking damn it, you know, like, I should have stayed off of social media, because, like, the Godzilla groups are like, you didn't see it in the first weekend, fuck you, you know, like, here's a picture of Mothra, and you're like, god damn it, you know.
Another
like,
disadvantage of us, like, not really tying, and this, I brought this up when we were talking about Godzilla versus Kong way back when. You remember how we had a scientist who was studying Hollow Earth and Skull Island, and we actually had an older version of him appear in King of the Monsters to sort of set that up, and then he just kind of disappears by the time we get to GVK.
Yeah,
and some other fucking new character takes his credit.
Yeah, they're like, he's dead, so here is somebody filling in for him. You're like,
well, the actor's still around. The character didn't die in King of the Monsters, so I'm like, where the fuck is Dr. Brooks? Just like, what is happening here? Why is the Skarsgård taking this role? I sort of thought something similar here, where I'm like, Wait a minute, we set the twins up in King of the Monsters, and the twins are just nowhere to be found here.
Yeah,
And I get
was
it.
thinking that too.
I'm one of the few who, like, actually gives a shit. Just like, whatever. Okay, why do you actually care about the continuity between these movies? I'm like, a little.
A little bit. I was definitely being like sitting there going, how are they gonna make her into a twin so she's the twins for Mothra? You know, like I was like, okay, so she's calling Mothra. How are they gonna like make her a twin to be like the twins for Mothra? I was like, how are they gonna like fix this? And they're just like, no. She just calls Mothra. And you're just like, it's just like, it's fine, I guess, you know, whatever. But
we already had this in the bag. We set it up. We cast a really good actress for it.
They're like, nah, never mind. Moving on. You know, like, and you're just like, damn it.
I miss some of the King of the Monsters and GVK characters on the Godzilla side. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Like, where's Bradley Whitford? I miss him.
I feel you there. And like going back to that this is a Kong movie, it really is in a lot of ways, because it straight up is like what it like the beginning sequence, other than Godzilla fucking up the spider, is Kong having his life in Hollow Earth hanging out with Doug, you know. Like,
put it this way.
Like,
if Legendary had lost their license to be able to use Godzilla instead of renewing it, because I think GVK was like the last one before they renewed the contract.
That's what I feel like. This movie feels like that. Like they didn't have Godzilla, so they wrote this movie, and then they were like, "Oh, we got Godzilla. Oh shit, let's shove him in here." You know,
if you swapped Godzilla for something else, or even cut his stuff altogether, this would still kind of play. Which is sort of an issue for like what's supposed to be a crossover movie, even if it is a sequel to one.
Yeah, I feel you there. That this definitely felt like Kong, the New Empire, featuring, you know, like, because it really is Kong in Hollow Earth. He gets hurt. You know, he goes up to get help and like and gets fixed up, and then he goes back down. And they like follow him down to find the new civilization that's all linked with Kong and Skull Island, you know, like, and even the crossover from Godzilla versus Kong. So you're like, okay, so this is very Kong heavy, you know, like this is like super Kong heavy, which is for me, it's fine, you know, like that is. I
get it. It also makes it's easier for the audience to latch on to Kong.
Yeah.
Because he's human. He have the human face. He expressed like human.
And
so I can empathize. It's the same thing with GVK. Just like you guys are just supporting Kong because he's the big monkey. And you can empathize with the big monkey, as opposed to if you had paid attention to either of these two movies, you know how this fight's going to turn out.
You're like, come on, guys, let's be real. I did, you know, I do enjoy, is it Brian Tree, Brian Tree Henry here. I thought he was super funny in this role. I think Dan Stevens, is quite good here as like the funny, like I know he was like more serious in the last movie, but I liked him more as like I've been traumatized, so now I'm relaxing, you know, like vet doctor.
Dan Stevens wasn't in the last movie.
He wasn't? It wasn't?
No.
Oh shit! Sorry, I thought
I think you might be confusing him with Skarsgård's character.
I know he looks so similar that I was just kind of like, yes, it's that character transferring over, you know, like I was just like, yes, no, but okay then, but I was mistaken there. But
Brian Tyree Henry was solid in this, but I feel like both this and Godzilla versus Kong, it does come off as a little awkward. I don't know if Adam Wingard knows how to like direct that type of like improvisation, because that's the type of like actor he is, and that's sort of the lane that he plays in, and it works. I don't know if Wingard knows when to tell him to stop.
That is true. I feel like it works, but it's not perfect in any way. But I did enjoy Dan Stevens' character. To be fair to like what I was trying to get at is that I liked that. Like,
he's like this vet. Steve Irwin type, like kaiju dentist. I'm like, sure,
yeah, right. You're like, fine by me. And I think Kaylee Hotley as Gia is doing a great job again. I think she was great in Godzilla X versus Kong, and I think she's good here. I don't know Rebecca Hall here as Eileen Andrews is. I know that she's like the main character, and I know that she's trying to bridge these two movies. You know, like I don't know if any of the emotions were landing, other than like I may lose Gia. You know, like that's the only one that like really comes across. And I think that's
obviously less on her and more just
on the writing.
This movie, even if it was present on the page. This movie, narratively, especially on the human side, feels so stripped down.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, as a kaiju fan, in a good way, because it stripped down the human plot to have long sequences that are just titans going around and at each other, or like roaring, or like fighting. I'm totally cool with that, because you can, and Mary pointed this out when we left the theater. She was like, there's not a lot of dialogue in this movie, and I think they did that intentionally for international audiences, that they could watch this with either dubbed or subbed, and it would play, you know, like you could just watch it, and it would work for every language, which, to be fair, I think that really works, you know, here is that this could, it's already made $500 million internationally and domestically. And it just opened in Japan this week, you know, like just opened in Japan. So it's like one of those things that the big money market for a Godzilla movie just happened, and they already made their budget back, you know, like big time, you know.
It's like the George Miller approach. He like made Road Warrior and Fury Road with the intention like you could put this on mute and you would still get this, because a lot of this is told visually.
And I think that can be said about this movie is there's a lot of visual storytelling here. A lot, like, you know, it's not absolutely fantastic, but like, you know, like there's a lot of visual storytelling, a lot of visual emotions coming from Kong and Godzilla and Scar King and
like Wingard is definitely doing his damnedest.
Yeah,
he's been one of those, like, he's still kind of early on in his career. Like the big three examples people will bring up are like these two movies and his live action Death Note.
Yes.
And it's like,
because I mean, some people like You're Next, you know, like, and a lot of people will bring up, you know, VHS, but people don't talk about the Blair Witch remake, you know, like people don't fucking say anything about that, you know, like, they're just like, hell no, you know.
But it's interesting because Godzilla vs. Kong did so well that we've kind of like hitched everything on like his take on these characters, which works because Godzilla vs. Kong was fun, but I kind of miss the more like polish that we had, whether it be Gareth Edwards or Michael Dougherty or even Jordan Vaught Roberts for Skull Island.
Absolutely. I'm there with you, is that like he leans into the fun of this kaiju movies, which I love that. You know, like I love that feel, because I thought that was lost forever. You know, with as much as I love God's King of the Monsters, I thought that movie was the true end of like Godzilla fun. You know, like that we had to be cinematic moving forward no matter what, you know, like even if it doesn't work, you know, like it's just like, no, we need to be overly cinematic. You know,
I actually disagree. I don't know how you got that read, given that like 2014 is so self-serious.
Yes.
And I always felt like King of the Monsters was kind of a great balance between like, okay, we're still sort of taking this seriously, but we can still be like huge about it at the same time.
I more mean that like that was fun, but I was worried that like that they would take the wrong lessons from that movie. And obviously Godzilla versus Kong was the other way, you know, like being like, no, let's lean into the more Titan fun. And this is
the opening credit sequence for Godzilla versus Kong is a fucking tournament bracket. You're like, all right, we know what we're here for.
And this is it starts like, I feel like it's almost WWE-ish in a lot of ways, this movie. You know, like, it's very just like, and here in this corner is Kong, and look, he's fucking up Monkey, you know, he's fucking up weird cat creatures in Hollow Earth, and here's Godzilla, and he's fucking up a giant spider in Rome, you know, like, and they're buddies now, you know, like, it's very, like, I don't know. In that way, it's like a fun plot.
And it's light, and Godzilla's doing ridiculous shit in here, like it's straight out of the Showa era. People, it was so funny seeing people complain that he was like full on sprinting in this. Just like, I mean, it could be worse. He could be fucking flying kicks. He could be doing flying kicks or some shit. And it's fine. Although I do get the sentiment that I do sort of miss like the weight.
Yes.
And the physics of like 2014 and King of the Monsters. Especially the latter, which was still huge and had a bunch of monster fights, but still felt like there was like a realism to it. It's like, oh, I could actually feel like the sense of like weight that these monsters carry, like they're actually there.
Yeah, because if you're comparing the fight in Boston in King of the Monsters to the fight here at the end, which is in where is it? It's Thailand? Where is the final scene here? It's
well, besides like Hollow Earth itself, before Godzilla goes down, he's in Egypt.
But like the Shimu and Scar King fight.
Oh, the fight. Yeah.
Where is that? That's
I can't remember.
But it's like what you're saying, the weight is gone. Like, you literally see Godzilla take every step as he rushes forward to fight Ghidorah, you know, like you feel Boston being destroyed. Here it's just kind of a playground, you know, like in the final fight sequence there, they're just destroying things, and you're kind of like, this whole city did not get any warning that the kaiju fight was going to happen. They just popped out of the ground and started destroying shit. And you're like, and they're not even showing anybody dying. They're just being like,
sure, it was inevitable. The further along that we got in the franchise, the more we would kind of hand wave that kind of stuff away, just to be like, can we just get moving?
Yeah,
like we were never gonna have like the 2014 thing of like Godzilla going up to the surface, just arriving on land is literally causing tsunamis.
Yeah, because like here, there's a tsunami because they're coming out of Hollow Earth, but then frozen by Shimu, so it's like a kind of opposite of that, you know, like, and then Scar King is just whipping, getting pissed off by the beachgoers, you know, and you're just kind of like, okay. Like,
Scar King as like a big bad to fight, not bad. Although there is part of me that's just like, we couldn't have come with anything else besides just an evil monkey for Kong to fight.
I will say, Scar King, and the kind of the whole plot, is this just Lion King 2? Is that the plot going on here? Like it's not Lion King. It's literally Lion King 2, you know, like where it's just like Scar's in charge and he's enslaved the lions, you know, like, and you're just kind of like, and here's Monkey who's fighting back, you know, like it's kind of like,
well, considering Scar's not in the Lion King too, but I get what you mean.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind
of
all
it needed was star-crossed lovers. I mean, this movie is called Godzilla X Kong, and they didn't fucking kiss once.
I mean,
the ship is dead.
Mothra.
We lost.
I think that, you know, like that there's a lot of the weight lost here, but in a. And you know, Tokyo SOS does a great job of like showing the weight of Godzilla even there, you know, like, and it
is fine for it to be light and ridiculous. Like, I remember seeing a review not too long before like it came out to the public of just like, look, if you're here, if the idea of Godzilla suplexing another monster appeals to you, then this is going to be the movie for you. And I'm just like, what the fuck else do you think I'm here for?
What do you think I'm here for, motherfucker?
Like I loved -1 too, but Godzilla's more than just the one thing.
Yes, and that is my defense to this movie. This is why, and I do recommend this movie to people, you know, like, I'm like, no, if you want a fun, stupid movie, if you want a classic blockbuster, if you want to go to a movies and just have a good time and check your brain out, this is the fucking movie to go see in theaters at the moment. You know,
Yeah.
like if you're
Especially
like,
since,
Civil War is too heavy for me, Godzilla X Kong is right there. Go into the next theater.
Especially since you might not have had the chance last time. Like, you saw Godzilla
Yeah.
versus Kong in theaters. I didn't get to.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I try to see every Godzilla movie in theaters because as a kid I didn't get to, you know, like it just wasn't a thing. So it's like such an event for me to go see it, and it's like I try to see it as big a screen as possible. And I would see this movie again, just because first off the fights are fun. I love the upgrades, you know, like I love that, you know, we get basically like Nintendo power arm for Kong, which is silly but also like fits in, you know, like it's of course silly, but
it's
like,
also like not quite it. I think it works because it's not quite like an entirely like robotic prosthetic.
yes.
It's just like a gauntlet that goes over his arm. You're like, okay, we haven't
All right.
stretched it too far.
Yeah,
I
right.
don't want to see. I don't want to see
like,
Mecha Kong in the next one.
which I don't like. After this, I was kind of like, they might do Mecha Kong, you know, like I was like, because they already had plans for all like the robot enhancements. I'm like, somebody making Mecha Kong in the next movie, you know, like come on, let's see what happens. But that would
I need more things for Kong to punch than just like another monkey, but it's an evil monkey, and I'm the good monkey.
I did like him, the Son of Kong, tricking him into fighting the sea serpent, which is a callback to a classic Godzilla monster, which I was like, all right, you know, like, and I thought that was such like a fun sequence. And I will, like, you know, a lot of people complain that there's a lot of Kong in this movie, but I kind of liked that it was just kind of like Kong comes down, finds out there's monkeys, and he basically kicks the shit out of the ones that are mean to him. Like, and I was, Deshaun, did you burst out laughing when he used Son of Kong as a fucking weapon against the other monkeys? I was dying. I couldn't control myself.
Look,
I was losing it.
Out of pocket violence towards children in a comedic way will always make me laugh.
He got that on record, guys. He said that on record. But yes, I'm with you. Is that like I was like, that is beyond anything I thought he would do. And like,
it felt like Wingard speaking to the audience of just like, no, just because we introduced the like baby Kong character to pal around with Kong doesn't mean he's gonna be a fucking minya.
Yeah, right. Which, like, thank God. You know, like I was like, I was a little worried when Son of Kong was showing up in you know, ads. I was like, oh guys, this is gonna be weird.
It's like, do we,
you know?
who the hell has ever liked that idea? Like, we always have that mentality of just like, we got to put the kid character in because the kids will be able to project onto the kid character. What kid ever actually liked the kid character?
Nobody's like, yeah, Minya's fucking sick, you know, like
there's like Robin and no one else.
Yeah. And even some people can't fucking stand Robin,
Yeah.
you know, like, and I get that. I see where you're coming from.
Like, I was
like,
never the
wrong.
one who wanted to relate to the kid character. I just wanted to be the main character. That's who I would project onto.
It's for the little brothers, you know, like is what I've always thought of it as. Like, you know, I get to be Batman and my brother gets to be Robin. And when you're playing this with friends, you know, if you have two big brothers, they're Kong and Godzilla, and little brother gets to be Son of Kong, you know, like, and you're just, which, does he have a fucking name? Like, I'm calling him Son of Kong because they call him that in the advertisements, but yeah, I think he's just Son of Kong. I don't think they actually had a goddamn name for this
Baby
thing.
Kong Jr., even though it's not his son, whatever his little name is.
But I do like the implication that like the one thing I did really love about Son of Kong, other than him tricking him into fighting the sea serpent and him being used as a weapon, is I did like him handing him the axe. I thought that was cool. You know, like that was like a cool little bit that like Kong locks the axe. Son of Kong's like, I got you. Let me get that for him. I know that's important. You know, like I felt like that was a cool kind of, even more of an anime reference, you know, like it felt very Dragon Ball Z, you know, like
I also felt a lot of God of War in this.
Yeah.
Because I felt like Kong is definitely like 2018 onwards, like Dad of War.
Yes.
And then I felt like Scar King, between like the white fur, the red paint down his face, and the fact that he has like a chain sword weapon, kind of. I'm like, this is fucking
somebody
old
liked
Kratos versus young Kratos.
Yeah, somebody liked it. But I do, my thing about Son of Kong that I really like is the implication that every monkey has been breeding with Scar King because he's king, and Son of Kong is a Scar King offspring.
Yeah, like a pride of lions.
Yes, I like that implication. I'm like, okay, that's cool, like that's a little something else, like where you're just like, oh, he's helping, but like, he is Scar King's son in a lot of ways. And I felt like that was kind of dramatic in some ways, like, I'm like, all right, that's something, like
this certainly for a lot of it feels like we're just like, oh, are we what? Oh, wow, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is looking great.
It is true. I was like, there's a lot of monkey movies coming out this year. Like, I was like, damn, okay, we're doing a lot of monkey things.
And I like how, and all the movies have kind of done this, they sort of hide humanoid features in the monsters.
Yes.
Like someone had pointed out, they put a clip up where Kong literally says, come on. Yes. He just says it in like a grunty way. It's like,
and you're like, oh shit, yeah.
And in the same way that like Godzilla fucking laughs in Godzilla versus Kong at Kong. Yeah. It just the way it's hidden very well, so you might not notice that he's like laughing at him. Or the King of the Monsters thing where Godzilla goes, huh?
Yeah, like one of my favorite little things that Adam Wingard has admitted to is that Godzilla here is very based on his cat. And I feel like there's a lot of that going on here where it's like less human and more cat, like, which
and
I'm cool
Toho
with.
Godzilla is very cat-like, especially in appearance, so that tracks.
That tracks. You're like, that's cool. And like, that's where you get the Coliseum, him curling up in that, but also him barking at the helicopters, like, and just kind of just generally the way he like pounces around here, where he's like running on all fours at some moments. And you're just like, okay, like I'm actually like, I kind of like that, like where it's just like a little bit more animalistic in a lot of ways. And, like just kind of showing that off. Now I do like that Kong doesn't actually lose the first fight to Scar King. Like, I like that he kind of beats him. Like he shows up and Kong's like, I'm the king, let's fucking go, like, and he beats Scar King and Scar King's like cheat code and uses Shimu to like fight him back. Now, I do kind of like that they're like, I know it's kind of a cheap cliche to just do evil versions of the monsters, but I kind of like that it was evil King Kong and evil Godzilla, like because Shimu's not really evil, and I kind of like that Shimu was like, oh, Scar King's dead, all right, peace, I'm done, like, I don't need to fight you guys anymore, fuck that, like at the end of the movie he was just like, no, I don't want to die, like, he's just like, I'm cool, you're the king.
Shimu was fine. It made me think, it's like, oh, we haven't done ice yet, have we?
No.
Like, yeah. Sure.
And according to Adam Wingard, is Shimu's based off of a concept from King of the Monsters or somewhere before where they had an ice monster and they were like, oh, that's cool, let's use that, like,
I don't doubt it, just because there are so many Titans in King of the Monsters that barely have anything to do.
Yeah. And you're just kind of like, wait, hold on. And I do kind of like that the spider is from King of the Monsters there, and the I keep forgetting his name, but the thing in the ice caps, the monster that starts with the T.
The Leviathan looking thing.
Yeah, like that was from King of the Monsters too. They show that for a goddamn second, like, and you're just kind of like, okay, so they're paying off these monsters,
What's
like,
up with Behemoth?
Yeah, right.
I like the mammoth. I like
Show
the
me
mammoth one. I want to know what's up with that big fella. I like that guy.
I know. I almost like, I haven't watched Monarch yet because I don't have Apple TV, but I was like, if Monarch doesn't address Behemoth, I'm fucking done with this show. Like, I was like, fuck that. But then I saw some clips from Monarch and I'm like, I may have to get a 7-day trial just to watch some Apple TV, Like,
yeah, binge it and Ted Lasso and then bounce.
And then bounce. Get out.
I've gotten to the point where I literally start the trial and cancel it as soon as I've started it, so I still have like the week. So if I forget, then it's gone.
Right.
And then if I really want to, then I'll just pay for a month and bounce again.
That's what they're hoping for, that you just kind of
forget.
that
you just forget.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of happened with Shudder for me, is that we like got it for October and then we forgot about it, and it just kind of kept being on our account, and we were like, oh shit, yeah, we got
Shudder's worth having, though. It needs the support.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to see the Devil, the After Midnight with the what is that fucking movie called?
I know what you're talking about, the David Desmalchian movie.
Yes, exactly. It looks really good.
Late Night with the Devil, I think.
Late Night with the Devil, that's it. I was like,
yeah, it seems super interesting.
That does seem super interesting. I'm like, okay, that seems like a fun horror movie.
Also, Creepshow's on there now, so watch the original Creepshow. I would love to talk about it this October.
No, that sounds good. I have never watched Creepshow, so that sounds good to me. But to like kind of get to the point of this is that like the end fight is fantastic. I do love the like Kong Godzilla fight in this, like them fighting through the pyramids. Am I upset they destroyed the pyramids? Yeah. And you know, like him stomping through the Rome aqueducts, you're like, oh, that's just thousands of years of history, Godzilla. Ah, god damn it, you know. Like, but I do love, I kind of love the sequence.
Hey man,
of, like,
Boston was historic too.
Yeah, it's true. But I do love Kong using the pyramids as like cover, running from Godzilla. Like, I do love that. Like, I thought that little bit right there was sick, you know, like, and I really love like a lot of people have been hating on Pink Godzilla, or what I like to call Kaioken Godzilla, and like
Super Saiyan Rose Godzilla.
Yeah, Super Saiyan Rose. But I think it's a great design change, because like we have big hulking, you know, from 2014 to King of the Monsters, he's big, he's hulking, he's standing straight up, and then you have a little bit of an arch as he goes into Godzilla versus Kong. And here they kind of lean into it, that he's like streamlined. He's thinner, he's smaller. Not smaller, but like, you know, because he's not -1 sized. -1 is small comparatively. But like this is, he's like kind of sleeker, smaller, faster. And I kind of really dug that, you know.
And like, more vicious. He's got like the spines are a little more pronounced. He's got the like horns around his face to look more fierce.
Yeah, I like that. And if you see the and just to compare it to -1, they really kind of modeled this Godzilla's transformations face to -1's Godzilla. Like, they're very similar face wise. Like if you see there's pictures going around of like them two like they put them on top of each other, and like very similar in just shape of face and the way they do the teeth, and the way they both kind of have this like smile going on, you know, like where it's not exactly happy, but it is having a good time, you know, like, and you're just like, all right, like,
I feel like that might be coincidental, because even when they had first shown off -1's Godzilla design, I had already said that like that's very legendary-ish.
Yes, right. Yeah, it might not be on purpose, but I do kind of dig that, you know, like that Godzilla, even though his body changes, his face is similar throughout what we're seeing at the moment. And you're just kind of like, I dig that, you know, like, because like we've kind of realized how Godzilla should look, at least in our modern era. And I think that's kind of cool. And I don't think anybody's going into this coming out being like, what a cinematic masterpiece this movie is. But did I have fun? Yes. Did I have a good time? Absolutely. I was cheering in my seat. Like, this was like, it's just one of those movies that like gets the audience kind of like talking out loud, saying things, having a good time, which not every movie does that. Like, Barbie sort of does that. I felt like Barbie did a great job of like kind of getting the audience riled up and like talking, you know, like, and laughing. And like, when I went to see it in theaters, like it was kind of a loud experience, a lot different than Oppenheimer, where everyone sits there in silence and is like, we're gonna destroy ourselves. I know it.
Mhm.
You know, like, but I feel like, you know, like this is a like kind of a crowd experience in a fun way.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't complain that you got more of what you wanted.
Yeah.
Like, you were the guys who made Godzilla versus Kong the highest grossing movie for this. It's like second to 2014, I think, but
Yeah.
you made this some more viable solution, so of course they're gonna be like,
Lean
oh,
into it.
you want more of this.
Which, to be fair, I did, you know, like I saw Godzilla X Kong and I was like, could have more Titans, you know, like could be a little bit further. And they kind of deliver, you know, like where they're just like, here's a shit ton of monkeys, you know, like here's some other monsters from Hollow Earth. We're going to see a bunch of them. More Doug. Like, that's all I wanted was more Doug the Titan, you know, like I was like, hell yeah, Doug the Titan's just hanging with Kong. I fucking love that, you know.
Now I want, at least on the MonsterVerse side, I
Yeah.
want another solo Godzilla movie.
I feel you there.
Especially with like Godzilla kind of being reduced to like a guest star here.
Yeah.
As opposed to more like even billing. Like, I'm kind of itching for another solo Godzilla movie.
Yeah, because definitely the most fun I had was like, yes, I had a good time with the Kong scenes, and like, yes, I laughed at the jokes, but like at the human jokes, but like the most fun I had was Godzilla and Mothra, you know, like that's the most like absolute cheering out of my seat, like excited I was during this movie. I want to counter the solo Godzilla movie with I want a solo Mothra movie. We've seen it work before. There's 3 Mothra movies. I think we could do.
We're gonna get legendary Batra.
Yeah, like I'm cool with that. You know, like I would want that because like we've kind of set up all this Mothra mythos now. Let's play with it. You know, like let's do some things with it. And I know that might not get as many butts in seats, but it's still Mothra, you know, like it
True.
it could
like
work.
I still like solo, that'd be fine with me because I actually like the legendary version of Mothra.
Yeah.
I want solo Godzilla movie on the MonsterVerse side, and for God's sake, on the Toho side, I need a fight movie.
Yes.
We already had like the 2. We haven't had like a fight movie on the Toho side since Final Wars.
Yeah.
And we've already had like the 2 very serious
Shin
like metaphor movies with Shin
-1.
and -1. So like I need them to punch something now.
Which, I mean, they're working on, you know, -2, you know, like or whatever you want to call it. Like
We'll see.
We'll see what they want to call it. But
even when like a movie is good, they'll still be like, whatever, reboot it again.
Yeah, the director has said he wants him to fight something in the sequel to -1. You know, like he definitely said he enjoys Godzilla fighting things. It just wasn't this movie. You know, like,
yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. I want to see that. You know, like because that sounds like it feels like it fits these sensibilities that he has, and I hope
and him addressing the fact that like he wants to find a way to marry that sort of like, yes, we're here for like the kaiju versus kaiju stuff, but you can still have an engaging human plot at the same time. I was just like, oh, good, someone said it. We act like this is impossible.
It's true. They did like. There's over 30 Godzilla movies where they're like, how do we do that? You know, like it's just kind of like, we either make the human plot overbearing and okay, or we do lots of kaiju action. You know, like it's like neither or. And you know, like, and I feel like -1 was the perfect final balance of that, where we had a really engaging human plot, you know, like, and I was like, okay. I mean, I think Biollante does a good job of human plots. I think Tokyo SOS does a good job of human plots.
I think GMK does a decent job of it too, because they go for like the Godzilla as a vengeful spirit punishing mankind for nuclear testing thing. It's so weird. It's like the only one where it's just like, Ghidorah's the good guy. You're like, oh.
He's a good guy here. What the, you know, like I'm with you there though. You're like, wait a minute. But I like that, you know, like, because definitely I feel like that was the fun of -1, is that Godzilla's the bad guy, you know, like, and I think that's the thing that's like totally they went the other way straight from the beginning from 2014 for American Godzillas. They were like, no, he's a good guy. He helped us. He's savior of all, you know, like, which I'm cool with because that's the Godzilla I grew up watching, you know, like Godzilla's friend to all, like, but like that
but it's also nice to have just like Godzilla who's just an asshole, going back to GMK again. White-eyed Godzilla who's just a fucking prick the entire time.
I love that shit. I love that shit. Cause like I'm with you. I think that we should go, like, I know Toho might be hesitant, but how can you say no to $5 million? You know, like is basically
I don't really
my
know
thought
if they're
process.
Hesitant. Like the movies make bank. Like it's like these are positively received even on like that side of the pond. They seem to be super happy with like the way like Legendary treats the characters that they've licensed to them. So I feel like if they weren't happy or if they were hesitant, then they wouldn't have renewed the contract after Godzilla vs. Kong.
Do you know how much they renewed the contract, though? I don't know off the top of my head. I don't
know if it's the same or more.
Yeah, because I like, and you know, a bunch of people have drawn up like how they could make this a franchise. You know, like I've seen a bunch of like, now you make Kong movie by himself, you make Godzilla movie by himself, you make Mothra movie. You know, like, and you're just kind of like yes, we could Marvelize this. You know, like absolutely, that is a way to do this, and I think that that's maybe the step they're going towards with New Empire. You know, like
they are playing it safe. Yes. Like Godzilla, like this, the MonsterVerse was definitely like in troubled waters because King of the Monsters underperformed.
Yeah, which sucks.
Skull Island did okay, but like King of the Monsters did not like make the profit for it that they wanted.
Yeah.
So Godzilla vs. Kong was kind of like, it's basically why this had like no post-credit scene, even though like King of the Monsters had a post-credit scene, Skull Island had a post-credit scene. Because now we're at the point where, like, to be honest, it's a little refreshing. It's just like, we need to take this one movie at a time.
Yeah.
And see how this goes before we try to hook you on the next thing.
I am happy with that. I hope that that's where we're going with this, is that like we take it one at a time. We're not trying to spread too far because, you know, like you never know how this could go wrong. Like, you know, like with Marvel, like they didn't know that the Kang Dynasty thing would fall apart so quickly, you know, like with losing an actor, you know, like it's just kind of like,
guys, it's Kang. That's literally the most recastable fucking villain you could have picked. With all the different like variants and stuff, just recast. It's not that fucking complicated,
right? They which you know, they're talking about it. I've heard a lot of talk of recasting recently, so I think it's almost there. Now, like I it's one of those things that in a world where we're having so much fun with all of this, I do think it's time for the live action Gundam movie, and I know Vaughn
Roberts was supposed to be working on that Netflix show. I haven't really heard about it much since.
Yeah, he hasn't said anything other than the picture and that they were working hard at getting it right. You know, like, and I'm like, cool, good. You know, like, but also we haven't heard word that started filming or anything. You know, like, so that
he was also attached to a Metal Gear Solid movie to the point where like he was actually like showing concept art and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just like, he's had a few like irons in the fire. I just don't.
Yeah. I feel like
how long.
I worry that they're Del Toroing him, you know, like where they're like, oh, here's a bunch of franchises that we want you to make. And then like, as soon as he's put all this effort and work in, they're kind of like, will this work? You're like, then why did you give it to me? You know,
yeah.
Like,
and then they changed their mind.
Yeah, you're like, what the fuck? You know, like, but
Del Toro's a good comparison. Always fucking with him, just like let this man make anything he wants.
Yeah, how dare you stop him?
I'm just glad his Frankenstein movie is happening.
I know.
Damn it.
In a world where we have Lisa Frankenstein, I'm kind of like, good, a serious Godzilla.
Hey,
I'm furious Frankenstein movie. Not that I'm shitting on Lisa Frankenstein.
I want to see Lisa Frankenstein because it's Diablo Cody and I like Jennifer's body.
Yes. No, I'm with you there. I'm not shitting on it because of any quality things. I'm just saying like it's obviously a funny take on Frankenstein. And I am worried that did you see the picture of Christian Bale with the tattoos as Frankenstein, which like it's not as offensive as The Crow. Like it's definitely not, because like yes, if you were making a modern day Frankenstein you follow the book where they're using criminal bodies to make Frankenstein's body, there would be tattoos on it. Like that's
But that's for a separate project, isn't it?
Is it? I thought that was Frankenstein.
I don't think Christian Bale is supposed to be in Del Toro's Frankenstein.
I thought that was. Am I fucking up a lot today? Jesus Christ.
I mean, it's Frankenstein. Anyone can make a Frankenstein movie.
Yeah. I'll look up Christian Bale. See what
I do get what you mean. And this is coming from someone who loves the Frankenstein book, and they still have never really actually tried to fucking do this book. Yes. Other than Kenneth Branagh trying and falling flat on its face, but I still like have to take what I can get.
I'll take it. I'll take it in. Oh man, they don't even have it on the IMDb for either Christian Bale or Del Toro. That's weird. You know, like they're just kind of being like, no, we're not talking about it yet. You know, like, that's strange.
Yeah, because I don't remember seeing anything about him on the cast. I remember like who was cast. I think it was like Andrew Garfield at one point. Then he got recast with Jacob Elordi.
Oh, I did mess up. That is a picture from The Bride, directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal. Okay.
Yeah, different thing.
I did not realize Christian Bale. It says Christian Bale transforms into Frankenstein for Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride. Okay. I mean,
public domain. Anyone can make a Frankenstein movie,
right?
So we might have a few around the same time, and it gets confusing.
Yeah, that's. I think that's what's going on. For me, I'm totally cool with like a female-led Frankenstein movie. You know, like concentrating on the bride, because I love the bride. I like it's the metaphor it's going for. I like the concept, but we've never gotten anything modern with it. So I'm excited that they're working on that. You know, like that seems cool. But
give me all the fucking Frankensteins. Give me Del Toro's. Give me fucking Creature Commandos on the DC side.
Yes. I can't wait for that animated movie. Fuck yeah, I'm so excited
for
that.
I think it's a show.
Is it a show? I thought they said.
I'm pretty sure it's a show.
Okay, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with them making that a show.
Look, man, out of this like DC slate that James Gunn announced, I didn't expect anything fucking Frankenstein related. So I'm like, okay. It's like Frankenstein here. How about Frankenstein, Booster Gold, and Swamp Thing? I'm like, you've been looking at my Christmas list, James Gunn.
Yeah, no, he is. It is a TV show coming to Max. You know, like Frank Grillo is playing Rick Flag Sr., which, like, for me, that's perfect. You know, like, you're like,
I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be like the actual first thing in like James Gunn's DC, because like Blue Beetle is retroactive.
Yeah. But the best casting in this, two best casting is David Harbour is Eric Frankenstein and Alan Tudyk is Dr. Phosphorus. Like that's great. That's on point, you know? Like you're just
adapting those obscure shits that only we care about, Frank.
Yeah, right.
All right. What's next? We're going to do Demon Knights. We're going to do some Jonah Hex stuff.
Yo,
just to make me happy specifically.
I would freak out if they did Demon Knights. I mean, I'm already freaking out with Creature Commandos. I'm like, okay, hell yeah, let's do some World War II like
and finally a fucking new Swamp Thing movie.
Yeah, right. You're like, okay, like I have a lot of hope.
We're way off track.
We're way off
track.
Off
tangent. Point is like Godzilla versus Kong. Well, Godzilla X Kong, GXK. It's a solid like Showa era style, just like loads of fun.
Yeah, I would say it's for the old school fans. And for fans of Godzilla versus Kong. You know, like if you were like, that was cool.
Of the rest of the MonsterVerse movie. You seriously think like we were gonna get like a -1 style movie that follows Godzilla versus Kong? Realize how jarring that would have been?
Yeah, right. That'd be super freaking weird. I really enjoy this. I had a good time in the theater. I will defend this. I do think it's stupid fun. You know, like it's a little bit of check your brain at the door.
I do overall prefer GVK to GXK.
Really? I
think so.
Yeah.
I think it's the even billing. Like, I'm here for Godzilla.
Yes, I'm there with you. There is that I almost had more fun with this movie, like, because it was just kind of fun in that, like, it had that nature, you know, like it just kind of like leaned into the silliness when Godzilla versus Kong is trying to be sort of serious at points, you know, like it's trying to be more serious, but at the same time, yes, it is a better movie in that way. But like, yeah, I still think the MonsterVerse is going strong. I want more. I am hopeful that they're taking it slow and we're gonna get something good soon. You know, like instead of just being like, here's a Son of Kong, you know, like movie, you know, like we're just gonna take it a moment and take some time. I know there's a million ways this could go, and I hope for some, you know, oversight on that, you know, like, but giving Adam Wingard more movies, yes. Yeah, let's give Adam Wingard more movies. You know, like I think he does a fun job here. He gives some great visual language. There's some awesome shots in this. I think he deserves more movies. You know, like
there is like a rumor floating around that he might be working on a Face Off sequel.
Oh shit!
Which I'm like, I don't know, Adam Wingard. You are no John Woo.
That is true. That's hard.
Like, I fucking love Face Off. It is ridiculous.
It is insane.
But it is like a John Woo movie through and through, and that's why it worked. If that wasn't a John Woo movie, it would be so generic.
Yes. Really, though. Like, I feel like it wouldn't fly as well as it does, you know, like, and you're just like, okay. But guys, please check out Godzilla X Kong. I think it's worth seeing in theaters, especially if you've been listening this whole time and you're like, hey, yeah, I'm a Godzilla fan too, and I haven't seen it yet. Go see it in theaters. If you've seen it already, go see it again. Why not? Let them know. You know, let them know. See it in a bigger theater. That's what I want to see. It's like, yeah, I can wait until it's on on Max very soon. But let's be real. I want to see this on IMAX. You know, like I want to see this as big as possible. Put that eye in front of the Max and let me go see it. You know, like, but yeah, is it stupid? Yeah. No duh. You know, it's kind of like a no duh.
Kind of the point.
Yeah, exactly. But guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Please check out previous episodes and shorts we have, and check us out on galaxyofgeek.com, where every episode is. And be sure, you know, to listen on any podcast platform. Like literally any podcast platform. I got the question the other day, are we on Spotify? Yeah, we're on Spotify. Go check it out. You know, like we're on anything that you can get a podcast on, because it's an RSS feed, guys. That's how it works. It kind of goes everywhere, you know, like, so if you like listening instead of watching our beautiful faces on YouTube, you can listen anywhere you like. But you know, watch our beautiful faces on YouTube and hit the buttons down below, make them happen.
Check out our socials.
Check out our socials, our personal socials. I'm Yep Frank, or Yep Gundam, or Yep Fish if you're into fishing. I got a Yep Empire right now. And
I'm Mod Karika everywhere. If you're worried about the spelling, it's usually in the episode description, like 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, it's a tag.
Mostly just Instagram and Threads 9 times out of 10. I'm just continuing that media thread thing. I'm almost at 200.
It's fucking huge, my man. I was like, Jesus Christ, when I was scrolling down it. I was like, oh my God. Like, so you're crushing it, my man. You are absolutely crushing it. And soon we'll be doing, for peeks at future episodes, of course, we'll be doing movies that are in theaters. But we are working on X-Men 97 episode. I'm watching X-Men right now. I'm halfway through season 2.
X-Men TAS, the OG.
The OG. I mean, to be a little preview, I'm not loving season 2 as much as I like season 1. Does it get better, Deshaun? Like,
No, I get it. It's the stupid Savage Land subplot. It's so dumb.
And I didn't love Mr. Sinister. Like, I know I did like Morph being bad and Morph fucking everybody up, but I wasn't really into Mr. Sinister as a bad
No.
guy here.
No,
you know?
and
Like,
that's mostly because he's kind of he's a little sanitized in the cartoon,
Yeah.
so he just kind of comes off as like this Skeletor type figure who doesn't actually feel like a threat.
Yeah, and I was kind of, it made me even worry more because I know everybody's been calling for Mr. Sinister in like live action, you know, in either Spider-Man movies or an X-Men live action.
Well, it doesn't
hurt.
It doesn't help that like they kind of tease Mr. Sinister 3 separate times in the movies.
Yes. Right?
Because
like,
there's a post-credit scene in Apocalypse that's supposed to set him up.
Yeah.
They have the Essex fucking corporation in Deadpool 2, but he's not there. And New Mutants is also the Essex Corp, but he's not there. So we kind of tease him 3 separate times and then never actually paid that off.
So everyone's like, Mr. Sinister! And you're kind of like, you know, like, I get he's great.
But it's good that you're engaged.
Yeah, I am engaged. I do like it. I do enjoy it. But it is kind of it is wild how much just to give a little more preview, it's like how much the continuity keeps going. You know, like they don't ever kind of be like, fuck that, moving on. They're like, no, that happened. That all happened, you know? Like,
yeah, at a time where cartoons weren't really doing that. Like, we got to, like, the early 90s, and that's when we were first starting to kind of do that. It's just like, no, the episodes actually matter.
Yeah.
This isn't just, like, a reset button every episode.
Which even Star Trek's like, what? That happened? Huh? What? Ah, fuck it. You know, like, we won't bring that up until it's important, you know? And you're just kind of like, okay. You know, like, and that's... I feel like, you know, X-Men is leaning into its continuity, which I'm like, all right.
But yeah, that'll be a fun episode, especially from like a veteran X-Men fan versus like a much more casual X-Men fan.
I am much more casual on the X-Men side. It's not my thing per se. I'm a big Wolverine guy, and you know, I'm on and off with Scott Summers, and of course Storm. Storm is fucking queen. But like, and of course, you know, I'm into Rogue.
So like, that'll be fun. You just gotta get through the OG and then watch 97. Well, when you get to 97, it's only gonna be 10 episodes, and we're already 6 in. So,
so okay,
it should be good. And then otherwise, at some point, we should be doing the AFI list again as well. Goodfellas is our next one.
Goodfellas is the next one. So there's lots of episodes in the pipeline, guys. So stay tuned. Get ready for more. And thank you for watching. I appreciate it.
We'll see you next time.
See ya. Adios.